So there's Zorgath the Destroyer, right? And yeah, that's actually what he calls himself, not Zorgath the reasonably aggressive or Zorgath the diplomatically firm. No, this guy went straight for Destroyer, like he's compensating for something. Which, considering he's about 8 feet tall with 4 arms and skin that looks like moldy cheese, he probably is. Zorgath has conquered 47 star systems, and he's got the galaxy's most annoying habit of keeping count. His business cards literally say, Zorgath the Destroyer, 47 systems conquered and counting, with little skull emojis. Yes, alien warlords use emojis now. The universe is a disappointing place. His warship drops out of hyperspace above Earth, like the galaxy's worst surprise party. Picture a chrome-plated nightmare the size of Manhattan, bristling with enough weapons to turn a planet into cosmic dust. The thing's got more guns than a Texas gun show, and about as much subtlety. Down in Millbrook, Ohio, population 3,847 and 1, really good diner. 10-year-old Tommy Martinez is at Riverside Park throwing a tennis ball to his golden retriever, Biscuit. Tommy's the kind of kid who asks why after every answer you give him, and Biscuit is the kind of dog who thinks every day is the best day ever invented. The massive alien ship casts a shadow over the entire town, which is honestly an improvement since it's been 92 degrees all week. Tommy looks up, shields his eyes with one small hand, and says, "Huh, that's new." Biscuit, meanwhile, is far more concerned with the tennis ball situation. His tail is going like a metronome set to extremely excited, and he's giving Tommy that look dogs give when they think you've forgotten how to throw things. Then Zorgath's voice booms across every screen, radio, and smart device on the planet. And I mean booms. The guy's got a voice like a garbage disposal eating gravel. Pathetic creatures of the third planet. I am Zorgath the Destroyer, conqueror of 47 star systems. Your primitive species will surrender immediately or face the full might of my cosmic armada. He pauses for dramatic effect, which loses some impact when you realize he's basically announcing his hostile takeover like a wrestling match. You hairless apes have exactly 1 solar rotation to grovel before my magnificence and beg for the mercy I will not provide. Tremble before the inevitable doom of your worthless mudball. Tommy blinks up at the speakers crackling in the park pavilion. Then he looks at Biscuit, who's still focused on the tennis ball with laser-like intensity. "Well, that was rude," Tommy says, and throws the ball again. World leaders, being world leaders, immediately did what they do best, panic spectacularly and blame each other. The UN held an emergency session that lasted exactly 12 minutes before everyone started arguing about who should surrender first. The president went on TV, looking like he'd aged 10 years in 10 minutes. And somewhere in a bunker, generals were probably flipping coins to decide between nuke the aliens and hide under very large rocks. But Zorgath? Zorgath was having the time of his life. See, most civilizations he conquered either shot at him immediately, which was fun but brief, or surrendered so fast it was boring. Earth was giving him this delicious middle ground of terror and confusion that really scratched his megalomaniacal itch. So he decides to land his personal shuttle right in downtown Millbrook, because nothing says intimidating galactic overlord like terrorizing a town whose biggest tourist attraction is a covered bridge from 1847. The shuttle touches down in the middle of Main Street, with all the subtlety of a disco ball in a library. It's smaller than the main ship, but still roughly the size of a city bus, chrome and black with more spikes than a punk rock convention. The landing thrusters melt the pavement, which is actually an improvement since the city council's been arguing about road repairs for 6 years. Out steps Zorgath in full regalia, armor that looks like it was designed by someone who thought menacing meant cover everything in spikes and red lights. His forearms are spread wide. His voice amplifies through speakers that would make a death metal concert jealous. "Behold, insignificant insects! Your destroyer has arrived to claim this pathetic world in person." The townsfolk scatter like startled pigeons, which is exactly the reaction Zorgath was hoping for. Nothing validates your self-position as a cosmic terror, quite like watching people run screaming from the hardware store. But then he spots something that makes him pause. Walking directly toward him, not away, is a small human child holding a tennis ball. Next to the kid trots a golden-furred creature with its tongue hanging out, tail wagging like it's approaching its favorite uncle at a family reunion. Tommy stops about 10 feet from the alien warlord and tilts his head like he's considering a math problem. "Are you here to play fetch?" he asks with the kind of innocent directness that adults have trained out of themselves. Because Biscuit's really good at it. He caught 17 throws in a row yesterday, which is like a personal record. Zorgoth stares down at this tiny human spawn. In 47 conquered star systems, no one has ever approached him to ask about recreational activities. His 4 eyes blink in sequence, like a confused traffic light. Fetch? His voice comes out less booming overlord and more genuinely puzzled alien tourist. What is this, fetch? Tommy brightens like someone just asked him to explain his favorite video game. Oh, it's easy. You throw the ball, and Biscuit runs and catches it and brings it back. Then you do it again. It's like the best game ever invented. Zorgoth looks at the tennis ball, then at Biscuit, who's sitting politely but vibrating with barely contained excitement. The alien's massive brain, capable of calculating hyperspace jumps and managing the logistics of interstellar conquest, struggles to process the concept of intentionally throwing something away so a creature will bring it back. "This is your challenge to my supremacy," Zorgoth asks, and you can hear the grin creeping into his voice. "Your species offers combat through recreational ball throwing." "Well," Tommy says reasonably, "you did say you wanted to show everyone how strong you are. And Biscuit's pretty much the best at fetch in the whole county. It would be a fair fight." And that's when Zorgoth makes the mistake that topples empires. He laughs. Zorgoth's laugh sounds like a cement mixer having an existential crisis. It echoes off the storefronts of Main Street, rattling windows and probably traumatizing Mrs. Henderson's cat 3 blocks away. His forearms shake with mirth as he leans down toward Tommy, close enough that the kid gets a good whiff of what can only be described as space halitosis, with hints of sulfur. "Little human spawn," Zorgoth chortles. "You offer your planet's champion in ritual combat, and it is this furry ground crawler?" He gestures at Biscuit with one of his massive clawed hands. "I have conquered star systems. I have reduced entire armadas to cosmic dust, and you think your pet can challenge the might of Zorgoth the Destroyer?" Biscuit, for his part, has flopped into a playbow, rear end high in the air, tail going like a flag in a hurricane. He's clearly decided this giant metal alien is the most interesting thing that's happened since Tommy dropped a sandwich last week. "His name's Biscuit," Tommy corrects patiently, using the tone children reserve for adults who are being particularly dense. "And he's not just my pet, he's my best friend. Also, he caught a frisbee in mid-air yesterday while doing like a backflip, so he's pretty much got moves." Commander Blacksore, Zorgoth's lieutenant, chooses this moment to clank down the shuttle ramp. Blacksore looks like someone crossed a praying mantis with a filing cabinet, all angles and nervous energy. His voice comes out as a series of concerned clicks and whirs that the translation software renders as frantic whispering. "My Lord Destroyer," Blacksore says, his mechanical voice pitched high with worry. "Surely this is some kind of trap. The humans must have intelligence about our weaknesses. Perhaps the 4-legged creature is a weapon in disguise, a biological warfare unit? A shape-shifting assassin designed to exploit our overconfidence?" Zorgoth waves him off like he's swatting a mechanical fly. "Blacksore, you paranoid rust bucket, look at it. It has soft fur and a waggling appendage. If this is humanity's ultimate weapon, then this conquest will be even easier than I thought." Tommy, meanwhile, is taking his job as referee very seriously. He's positioned himself between the alien warlord and his dog, like a tiny UN peacekeeping force. "Okay, so here are the rules," Tommy begins, holding up fingers to count them off. "First, you can throw the ball anywhere you want, but not like into space or anything, because that's not fair to Biscuit. Second, Biscuit has to catch it and bring it back without you helping. Third, no vaporizing the ball with laser guns or whatever, because that's cheating. And fourth," he pauses dramatically, "you have to say good boy when he brings it back, because that's just good manners." Zorgoth's massive alien intellect, the same brain that engineered the downfall of the crystalline empire of Vega Prime, stuttered to a complete halt at step 4. "We must compliment the creature," Zorgoth asks slowly, like he's trying to translate a dead language. "Well, yeah," Tommy says, as if this is the most obvious thing in the universe. "It's called positive reinforcement. My mom read this book about training dogs, and apparently, if you don't encourage good behavior, they get confused and sad, and nobody wants a sad dog." Blacksore is practically vibrating with anxiety now, his metal limbs clattering like wind chimes in a tornado. "My lord, this has all the hallmarks of a psychological warfare campaign. They're attempting to humanize you, to make you appear weak before your troops." "Silence," Zorgoth booms, but there's something in his voice now, a note of genuine curiosity mixed with the kind of stubborn pride that has started more wars than trade disputes. The mighty Zorgath fears no challenge, especially not from a primitive ball-throwing ritual. If these humans wish to witness their champion's defeat, then so be it. He straightens to his full imposing height, armor glinting in the afternoon sun like a disco ball designed by someone with anger management issues. Very well, tiny human spawn. I accept your planet's challenge. Prepare your biscuit for the most devastating defeat in the history of recreational activities. Tommy claps his hands together, delighted. Awesome! Oh, and you should probably take off some of that armor stuff. It looks heavy, and throwing is all about the wrist action. The sound Zorgath makes is somewhere between a laugh and the noise a garbage disposal makes when it's eating something it shouldn't. Around them, alien troops have formed a perimeter, their weapons trained outward but their attention focused inward with the kind of fascination usually reserved for traffic accidents. In houses around the town square, humans peek through curtains and livestream the event to social media, with captions like, "Alien Warlord agrees to play Fletcher," and, "Is this real life?" And in the middle of it all, Biscuit sits perfectly still, eyes locked on the tennis ball in Tommy's hand, completely unaware that he's about to become either humanity's greatest champion or the universe's most embarrassed dog. Zorgath approaches the sacred ritual of fetch like he's planning the invasion of a heavily fortified star system. He studies the tennis ball from multiple angles, his four eyes focusing independently like some kind of organic surveillance system. He holds the ball up to the light, examining it for hidden technology, secret weapons, maybe a tiny nuclear warhead. It's a tennis ball. It squeaks when you squeeze it. "This is your weapon of choice?" he asks Tommy, turning the ball over in one massive clawed hand. "It's not a weapon," Tommy explains with the patience of a kindergarten teacher. "It's a toy. You throw it, Biscuit catches it. That's literally the entire game." Zorgath nods sagely, like Tommy just explained quantum physics. Then he winds up with all four arms like he's pitching the World Series, the Olympics, and the Galactic Championship simultaneously. The ball leaves his hand at approximately Mach 3. It screams through the atmosphere with a sonic boom that rattles windows 3 towns over, arcs into the stratosphere, achieves what can only be described as low Earth orbit, and disappears somewhere over the International Space Station. Biscuit sits perfectly still, head tilted, watching the ball's trajectory until it vanishes into a tiny speck. Then he looks back at Zorgath with an expression that somehow manages to convey both politeness and the gentle disappointment of a creature who expected better. Tommy says carefully, "I think you threw it a little too hard." Zorgath frowns, which on his face looks like someone carved a canyon into moldy cheese. The projectile achieved maximum velocity and distance. Surely this demonstrates superior performance. "Well, yeah, but now Biscuit can't catch it because it's in space," Tommy points out. "The point isn't to throw it as far as possible. The point is to throw it where your dog can actually, catch it and bring it back." Commander Blackster chooses this moment to lean over and whisper urgently in Zorgath's ear. "My lord, perhaps we should activate the orbital retrieval systems, or use the tractor beam to recover the projectile?" "No," Zorgath snaps, his pride clearly stung. "I shall master this primitive game through skill alone." He turns back to Tommy. "Provide another projectile. I shall adjust my technique." Tommy pulls another tennis ball from his pocket, because what 10-year-old doesn't carry backup balls, and tosses it underhand to demonstrate proper form. The ball travels in a gentle arc, bouncing once before rolling to a stop about 20 feet away. Biscuit explodes into motion like he's been launched from a cannon. He covers the distance in 3 bounds, snatches the ball with surgical precision, and trots back to Tommy with his tail, creating its own weather system. He drops the ball at Tommy's feet and sits, tongue lolling out in what can only be described as a smug grin. "See?" Tommy says, scratching behind Biscuit's ears. "Good boy, Biscuit, that's how it's done." Zorgath stares at this display like he's witnessing black magic. His advanced alien brain, capable of calculating hyperspace coordinates and managing the logistics of interstellar warfare, cannot process how the furry creature moved with such speed and precision for such an apparently pointless objective. "The creature enjoys this?" Zorgath asks slowly. "Enjoys it? Biscuit lives for fetch. It's like his entire purpose in life. Watch this." Tommy throws the ball again, and Biscuit's reaction is immediate and joyful. He bounds after it like every throw is the most exciting thing that's ever happened in the history of the universe. Zorgath takes the next ball with newfound determination. This time, he uses only 2 arms and dials back the power to merely devastating instead of orbital. The ball travels in a respectable arc, lands about 50 feet away and bounces twice. Biscuit is already moving before the ball hits the ground. He judges the trajectory, adjusts his approach, and makes a leaping catch that would make a major league outfielder weep with envy. The ball disappears into his mouth, and he lands in a perfect 4-point stance before trotting back to the group. But instead of dropping the ball at Tommy's feet like before, Biscuit sits directly in front of Zorgath and looks up at him expectantly. Zorgath rumbles, suddenly uncertain. What does it want? He's waiting for you to tell him he's a good boy, Tommy whispers like he's coaching Zorgath through a crucial diplomatic negotiation. What? Just say, good boy, Biscuit. He earned it with that catch. Zorgath looks down at the dog, who's sitting perfectly still but somehow radiating expectation. The alien warlord who has struck fear into the hearts of 47 star systems clears his throat awkwardly. You are adequate, small creature? Biscuit's tail stops wagging. He tilts his head with the confused expression of a creature who knows something went wrong, but isn't sure what. No, Tommy stage whispers. You have to mean it, and use his name. Dogs are very big on names. Zorgath tries again, his voice softer. Good boy, Biscuit. Biscuit's entire back end starts wiggling with joy. His tail goes into overdrive, and he drops the ball at Zorgath's feet before doing a little play bow. Something very strange happens to Zorgath's face. The corners of his mouth twitch upward in what on any other species would be recognized as the beginning of a smile. Again, he says, and there's something different in his voice now. Less cosmic destroyer, more engaged participant. They continue for another 20 minutes. Zorgath's throws get progressively better as he learns to judge distance and arc. Biscuit, for his part, seems to be enjoying the challenge of these new throwing techniques. He makes catches that defy not just physics but common sense. Diving catches, behind-the-back intercepts, and one particularly impressive moment where he seems to briefly achieve flight. But with each successful catch, with each good boy Biscuit that comes more naturally from the alien warlord's lips, something shifts in the cosmic balance of power. Because Zorgath the Destroyer, conqueror of 47 star systems, is starting to realize something that chills him to his alien core. He's losing. To a dog, and worse than that, he's starting to care about the dog's opinion of his throwing ability. When Biscuit makes a spectacular leaping catch that involves a mid-air somersault, Zorgath doesn't just say good boy. He whoops with genuine delight, all forearms raised in celebration. That's when he catches himself. That's when the full horror of his situation becomes clear. He's not just losing a game to humanity's champion. He's enjoying it. And from the way Biscuit is looking at him, with complete trust and boundless enthusiasm, the dog is expecting him to keep playing forever. Commander Blackstore sidles up to his leader, voice pitched low with concern. My Lord Destroyer, your vital signs are showing increased levels of happiness chemicals? Zorgath's face hardens back into its familiar scowl, but there's a crack in the armor now. Impossible, he growls. I am merely studying the enemy's techniques. But they both know that's not true. And from the way Tommy is grinning, arms crossed, watching this 8-foot alien warlord get schooled by a golden retriever in the finer points of recreational ball catching, it's clear that humanity's greatest weapon isn't our technology or our military might. It's our complete inability to meet a creature and not immediately want to be friends with it. By the 30-minute mark, Zorgath has completely abandoned any pretense of maintaining his terrifying warlord image. His spiky armor lies in pieces on the sidewalk like discarded Halloween decorations, and he's rolled up his sleeves, all 4 of them, with the focused intensity of someone discovering their new favorite hobby. But there's a problem, a big, ego-crushing, worldview-shattering problem. Biscuit is better at this than he is, significantly better. It's not just that the dog catches every throw, though he does, with an accuracy that would make NASA jealous. It's the style points. Biscuit has turned fetch into performance art. He's doing things that shouldn't be physically possible for a creature with 4 legs and no opposable thumbs. When Zorgath throws the ball in a high arc, Biscuit doesn't just run to where it's going to land. He calculates the trajectory, judges the wind resistance, and positions himself for catches that involve twisting mid-air acrobatics that would make Olympic gymnasts quit in despair. The latest throw was Zorgath's best yet, a perfect spiral that sailed in a beautiful parabola toward the town gazebo. Biscuit took off like he'd been shot from a cannon, built up speed, and then launched himself into the air in a move that can only be described as a corkscrew triple axel with a half-twist. He caught the ball at the peak of his jump, landed in a perfect roll, and trotted back to Zorgath with his tail wagging like he'd just performed the most natural thing in the world. Good boy, Biscuit, Zorgath exclaimed automatically, then caught himself. His 4 eyes narrowed as he stared down at the golden retriever. Wait. How did you calculate that trajectory? What kind of advanced targeting system are you using? Tommy looks confused. Targeting system, he's just playing fetch. No. Zorgath pulls out what looks like a tricorder crossed with a smartphone and starts waving it at Biscuit. No creature achieves that level of precision without technological augmentation. Blacksir. Full bioscan on the 4-legged unit. Commander Blackster scuttles forward with his own array of scanning equipment, the kind of high-tech sensors that can detect cloaked starships or hidden weapons caches. He runs the scanners over Biscuit from nose to tail, while the dog sits patiently, probably wondering why these aliens are taking so long to throw the ball again. Scanning complete, my Lord Destroyer, Blacksor reports, his mechanical voice tight with confusion. No technological augmentations detected. No cybernetic implants. No nano-enhancement systems. No genetic modifications beyond standard species parameters. The creature appears to be completely ordinary. Zorgath snatches the scanner and checks the readings himself. Then he runs his own scan. Then he hits the device several times, because that's apparently universal behavior across all intelligent species. This is impossible, he muttered, staring at Biscuit like the dog just solved faster-than-light travel using only sticks and enthusiasm. No ordinary biological entity achieves this level of performance. You're telling me this creature can outmaneuver guided missiles using nothing but… what? Instinct? And training? Tommy adds helpfully. We practice a lot, and he really likes tennis balls. Zorgath's world is crumbling. In 47 conquered star systems, he's faced battle-hardened warriors, brilliant tacticians, and civilizations with technology that borders on magical. He's never been outclassed by anything that solved problems by wagging its tail. Pull more test, Zorgath declares, and there's a dangerous edge creeping back into his voice. A direct challenge, no more of this throwing business. Pure skill, creature to destroyer. He reaches into his armor's utility belt and pulls out what can only be described as a space-age frisbee, a disc that glows with its own inner light and hums with barely contained energy. This is a gravitonic disc, Zorgath announces, with the pride of someone showing off their most expensive toy. It can change direction mid-flight, alter its speed, and even phase through solid matter. If I program it with an evasion pattern, no earthly creature could possibly catch it. Tommy frowns. That seems like cheating. It's not cheating if it's superior technology, Zorgath snaps, programming the disc with increasingly complex flight patterns. Let's see your champion handle this. He hurls the disc with all his might. It streaks through the air like a metallic comet, suddenly banks left at a 90-degree angle, spirals upward, phases through a tree trunk, ricochets off an invisible force field, and comes screaming back toward the group in a corkscrew pattern that would challenge a fighter pilot. Biscuit watches this display with the calm attention of a creature who has seen humans do weird things with flying objects before. His head tracks the disc's impossible movements, his body shifts into a ready position, and then he moves. What happens next will be debated by xenobiologists for centuries. Biscuit doesn't just run toward where the disc is going. He doesn't even run toward where the disc will be based on its current trajectory. Somehow, impossibly, he seems to anticipate where the disc will be after it completes maneuvers it hasn't even started yet. He bounds forward, leaps onto a park bench, springs off a tree trunk, uses the momentum to launch himself into the air in a spinning jump that would make action movie heroes weep with envy, and snatches the gravitonic disc out of the air at the exact moment it phases back into normal matter. He lands, sits, and looks expectantly at Zorgath with the disc glowing softly between his teeth. The silence that follows is the kind of silence that usually precedes either enlightenment or complete mental breakdown. That's impossible, Zorgath whispers. The disc was programmed with 17 different evasion protocols. Its flight path was randomized by quantum fluctuations. No organic intelligence could predict its trajectory without access to our navigation computers. Tommy shrugs. Maybe he's just really good at fetch. Nobody is that good at fletch, Zorgath roars, all 4 arms flailing. This creature has achieved tactical capabilities that exceed our military standards. It's processed quantum calculations in real time. It's demonstrated spatial reasoning that surpasses our battle computers. He spins to face his lieutenant, his voice climbing toward hysteria. Blacksor, do you understand what this means? This thing, this ordinary Earth creature that humans keep as a companion, just outperformed our entire targeting system using nothing but enthusiasm and whatever passes for instinct in its primitive brain. Commander Blacksor's mechanical voice comes out as a strangled whisper. My lord, if this is what they consider a household pet, what are their actual warriors capable of? Zorgath stares at Biscuit, who has started doing that thing dogs do where they play bow and wag their tail because they think the game is still going. The alien warlord's 4 eyes blink in sequence as the full cosmic horror of his situation becomes clear. You said, his voice cracks slightly, you said earlier that you had a cat? Tommy brightens. Oh yeah, Whiskers is back at home. She's really good at hunting. Yesterday she brought us a mouse, a bird, and something we couldn't identify but was probably alive until she got done with it. Why? Zorgoth looks at his lieutenant. Blacksword looks back at Zorgoth. In the space between them, 47 conquered star systems seem suddenly less impressive than they did an hour ago. Because if humanity casually keeps creatures this tactically superior as pets, purely for recreational purposes, what does that say about the species that domesticated them? And more importantly, what other pets are they hiding? What happens next is the fastest strategic retreat in the history of galactic warfare. Zorgath doesn't walk back to his shuttle. He doesn't stride with wounded dignity or make grandiose proclamations about returning with a larger fleet. He runs. Full sprint, all 4 arms pumping, his remaining armor clattering like a bag of angry wind chimes, making sounds that the universal translator can only render as nope, 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 nope. Emergency evacuation, he screams into his communicator while still running. All units return to ship immediately, code red, code very, very red. Commander Blacksword, despite being built like a mechanical praying mantis, somehow manages to keep pace. My Lord Destroyer, surely we can formulate a counter-strategy, perhaps study the creature's weaknesses. Weaknesses? Zorgoth's voice cracks an octave higher. Blacksword, that thing just demonstrated tactical superiority that makes our entire military look like they're playing with finger paints. And the small human says they have more of these creatures, different types of these creatures. He reaches his shuttle and starts frantically hitting buttons on the control panel like he's trying to defuse a bomb. The engines roar to life and alien troops across the town begin their own panicked retreats, abandoning their positions with the kind of urgency usually reserved for natural disasters. Tommy, still standing in the park with Biscuit at his side, cups his hands around his mouth and calls out, "Hey, you forgot your frisbee thing!" Zorgath freezes halfway up the shuttle ramp. For a moment he looks torn between his desire to escape and what appears to be genuine attachment to his gravitonic disc. The disc is still glowing softly in Biscuit's mouth, and the dog is sitting politely, waiting for someone to continue the game. "Keep it," Zorgoth calls back, his voice thick with something that might be emotion. "Consider it a tribute to a worthy opponent." Biscuit's tail wags faster, apparently interpreting this as high praise. The shuttle lifts off with all the grace of a panicked rhinoceros, shooting toward the main ship so fast it leaves sonic booms in its wake. Within minutes, the massive warship is powering up its engines, preparing for what can only be described as the most embarrassing retreat in the history of interstellar conquest. But Zorgath isn't done. Oh no. As his ship clears Earth's atmosphere, he opens a communication channel that broadcasts across the entire galaxy, every civilized world, every military network, every trading post and space station from here to the galactic rim. "Attention all vessels and planetary systems," his voice crackles across the cosmos, and there's a note of genuine terror that makes hardened space pirates stop what they're doing and listen. "This is Zorgath the former destroyer. I am issuing a galaxy-wide advisory regarding the planet designated Earth, Third World, from its star in the Sol system." He pauses, and you can hear him taking deep breaths. Earth is to be considered a level 10 prohibited zone. No approach, no contact, no conquest attempts. The planet is defended by creatures of unimaginable tactical capability masquerading as domestic companions. I repeat, the humans have weaponized friendship, and their so-called pets demonstrate combat capabilities that exceed our best military technology. Another pause, longer this time. Furthermore, intelligence suggests they possess multiple species of these tactical nightmares. Flying ones, hunting ones. The small human mentioned something called a cat, with apparent pride, and I refuse to discover what horrors that designation encompasses. Any vessel attempting to approach Earth will do so without support from this fleet. The transmission crackles for a moment before Zorgath's voice returns, smaller now, almost vulnerable. Also, if anyone figures out how that 4-legged creature calculated 17-dimensional trajectory physics using only enthusiasm and instinct, please forward your findings to my personal research division. for purely academic reasons. And with that, Zorgath the Destroyer's fleet jumps to hyperspace, leaving Earth's solar system like it's on fire. Back in Millbrook, Ohio, Tommy is walking home with Biscuit trotting beside him, still carrying the glowing alien frisbee like it's the best toy he's ever received. The town is slowly returning to normal, which in Millbrook means Mrs. Henderson is already complaining about the scorch marks on Main Street, and the mayor is trying to figure out if they can charge the aliens for property damage. Tommy's mom meets them at the front door, hands on her hips in the universal pose of parents who have just watched their child nearly cause an interstellar incident on live television. "Thomas Michael Martinez," she says, using his full name in the way that means he's either in huge trouble or about to become famous. "Do you have any idea what just happened?" "I taught an alien how to play fetch," Tommy offers hopefully. His mom looks at him for a long moment, then at Biscuit, who's sitting proudly with his new alien frisbee, tail wagging like he's just had the best day of his life, which, from his perspective, he probably has. "You know what?" she says finally. "I'm not even surprised. But next time an alien warlord shows up, maybe give me a heads up before you challenge him to a game, okay?" "Okay, Mom. Can Biscuit keep the space frisbee?" She looks at the glowing disc, which is probably worth more than the entire town's annual budget and operates on principles that humanity won't discover for another 1,000 years. "Sure, honey. Just don't let it phase through the neighbor's fence again." And so Earth remained unconquered, protected not by nuclear weapons or advanced technology or military might, but by humanity's greatest and most terrifying weapon: our complete inability to meet another living creature without immediately trying to be its best friend. Across the galaxy, the story spread, not as a tale of military defeat, but as a warning about the strange world where apex predators voluntarily live with their former prey, where creatures that could outmaneuver guided missiles choose to spend their time playing games with hairless apes, and where the scariest thing isn't the humans themselves, it's how much their pets love them. And somewhere in the cosmic background noise of 1,000 civilizations you can still hear the echo of Zorgath's final words, transmitted to every corner of known space. Never trust a species that domesticated wolves and called them good boys. They're either too crazy to fear or too dangerous to fight, possibly both. Earth's application to join the Galactic Federation was approved unanimously the following Tuesday. No one wanted to risk making humanity's pets angry.